Hi, this is Brentnie and Casey again from Rentec Direct. And as you guys know, we love to discuss landlord questions and hang out on landlord forums. This is so interesting. The thing that I saw today was a discussion on best tips for new landlords. And someone had commented something that was very unique and interesting that I had not seen before. And he was saying that in his lease agreement, he says, I put in all of my leases that if a meteorite lands on the property, that it belongs to me and the tenant can't keep it, even if it lands inside the house and is embedded or inside of a tenant's personal property.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So I was thinking of it more as a dangerous thing, but this is more who gets to own the meteorite if it lands
Yes.
there. Like, is it first come, first serve, like dibs, I touched it? Or who does it actually belong to? So my guess without knowing would be property owner, since like you think of a tree, like if a seed fell on a property and a tree grew, that would be the property owners, right? Because it's not in a pot though. Okay. What did you find out when you were looking more into it?
Okay, so there is a little bit of precedent for this.
Okay.
There was actually a lawsuit. I believe it was in Iowa, and it was a farmer and a property owner. So the farmer was the tenant, and he either found the meteorite or a guest of his. I can't remember the exact circumstances, but the tenant was the one that found this meteorite, and there was a lawsuit on who owned the rights to it. And the courts did side with the property owner. And the reasoning behind that was that the soil on the land, if you add more soil to the land, once it has mixed with the soil on the land, it's the property owners. You can't differentiate once something lands there. So we're treating this meteorite like it's any other deposit on the land, even though it came from space.
Oh my gosh. So in that case, was it a meteorite that actually landed and was like fresh, or was it kind of dug up in the soil and like the site was found?
So that I don't know. I believe that case was a fresh meteorite. I know that there
Okay.
were cases, I was just kind of looking up discussions on this. I know that there were cases in the past where they had been discovered and it had clearly been on the property for a long time. And I feel like legally there was a lot more argument for that being the property owners. But this circumstance, I believe, was a little bit fresher. And so what's interesting too is the legal precedent that exists is that it is the property owners, but this landlord is talking about specifically if it lands in the tenant's property. And that's where I feel like there's a legal gray area if you don't have this in your lease agreement, which I don't think most do. Because let's say it lands in your tenant's vehicle and it hasn't touched the property, I feel like there's definitely a larger case to be made that that is the tenant's property now, which is pretty fascinating.
Totally. Yeah. And I mean, these big disputes over meteorites. And I definitely also think about like, even if it's in a lease, is it legally allowed to be in the lease? So, because I know in our state, there's like things that you can and can't put in a lease just because you want to. What else could the tenant possess that suddenly the landlord's like, well, it's in the lease, or so it's mine. So that's also like an interesting piece to that of like having it in a lease, and is it upholdable in court just because it's in the contract?
Absolutely. And from the research that I did, which admittedly it was just kind of a fascinating little tangent that I went on this
Love
morning.
it.
But from my understanding, there's really only that one situation with the court system. So, I mean, there's absolutely precedent now, but that was in Iowa. And if you lived somewhere else, would the same outcome happen? I don't know. And yes, would this be considered a legal addition to the lease? I don't know. I just find it really interesting.
Well, we love space at Rentec, so that was definitely an on-brand discussion, and I hope that whoever loves the meteorite more gets a little piece of it no matter what.